Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a closer look at US quarter-dollar coins, Lincoln 1-cent coins, small in size but full of history. From early designs like the wheat penny to modern versions, these coins have been in our pockets for over a century. Some are common, but others can be surprisingly valuable. The 1984 D Washington quarter-dollar coin represents a familiar and essential component of United States currency. Minted in Denver in the year 1984, this coin carries the D Mint mark, which designates its origin from the Denver Mint, one of the major facilities responsible for coin production in the country. Over the years, the Washington quarter has held its place as a key piece in American commerce and daily transactions. With its origins dating back to 1932, the Washington quarter has become more than just a unit of currency. It is a symbol of national pride and a tribute to George Washington, the first president of the United States, whose legacy shaped the foundation of the nation. This specific coin from 1984 is noted to be in circulated condition with some rust. Circulated condition implies that the coin has passed through many hands and has been actively used in transactions over the years. While coins in circulated condition may show signs of wear, including loss of fine detail and smooth surfaces, they still retain their historical and collectible appeal. The mention of rust suggests that the coin may have been exposed to moisture or environmental factors, possibly resulting in discoloration or surface corrosion. Despite these imperfections, such coins are often still valued by collectors for their historical context and the story they tell through their physical state. On the obverse side of the coin, the central figure is George Washington. His portrait has remained the mainstay of the quarter's design for decades and was originally sculpted by John Flanagan. The depiction shows Washington facing left with a dignified and composed expression. Above his head appears the word that signifies liberty, while to the left is the phrase that reflects the nation's trust in a higher power, and the date of mintage is found at the bottom. In this 1980, for example, those features may be slightly worn down due to circulation, but the core design typically remains recognizable even in coins with surface damage. Turning to the reverse side of the coin, the design includes an eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches. This image symbolizes strength and peace, core values held by the United States. The layout is both classic and emblematic of American ideals. The inscription denoting the nation appears at the top, with the denomination indicated at the bottom. On a coin that has been circulated and rusted, these elements might appear less distinct, but they still represent an important link to the original artistic and national intent behind the design. The year 1984 did not bring significant changes to the Washington quarter's appearance or composition. The coin remained struck in a copper nickel-clad composition, which was introduced in 1965, replacing the earlier 90% silver format. This material change was in response to rising silver prices and economic considerations, and it allowed the mint to continue producing coins at a lower cost. The copper-nickel composition also offers durability, although it can still be affected by corrosion if exposed to certain environmental conditions. The rust noted on this coin is likely the result of prolonged exposure to moisture, which can affect even clad coins if protective surfaces were away. In the broader context of American coin collecting, the Washington Quarter series holds a special place. It has spanned numerous decades and reflects both artistic evolution and national developments. For many collectors, building a full set of Washington quarters, including those minted in different years and at various facilities like Denver, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, is an exciting and educational pursuit. Coins such as the 1984 D quarter serve as milestones in such collections, representing both a specific time in minting history and a tangible artifact from American life during the 1980s. Coins in circulated condition often bear the physical marks of their journey. They may have been used in millions of everyday transactions, from grocery stores to gas stations, vending machines to parking meters. Each scratch or worn edge is a reminder of the countless hands that have held the coin, and of the daily lives it has touched. These coins are not just monetary instruments, but small historical records representing the economy, culture, and materials of their time. The 1984 Washington quarter may not be rare in the traditional sense, but that does not diminish its significance. Coins like these are snapshots of the year in which they were minted. The early 1980s were a period of technological growth, shifting political dynamics, and changing economic landscapes. Holding a quarter from that year connects one with the past in a very real and tangible way. It also prompts a deeper appreciation for the objects we use every day without a second thought. The quarter in your pocket is more than change. It is a piece of American craftsmanship. Next up we have the 1974 Lincoln 1-cent coin is an important piece in the long and enduring legacy of American coinage. As part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, this coin carries with it a strong historical background and continued public recognition due to its consistent design and wide circulation. The obverse of the coin features the well-known bust of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, who is celebrated for preserving the Union and abolishing slavery. This design, introduced in 1909 to mark Lincoln's 100th birthday, was created by Victor David Brenner and has become one of the most iconic and longest-running portraits on American currency. The year 1974 continued that tradition by featuring the same profile, showing Lincoln facing right, with clear inscriptions above and around his image. The 1974 Lincoln cent was minted in Denver, which is indicated by the small d located just below the date on the obverse. The Denver Mint produced a large number of these coins, ensuring their widespread presence in circulation. The composition of this coin is primarily copper, which was the standard material used at the time. Specifically, the coin is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition would soon change just a few years later in 1980 when the United States Mint shifted to a copper-plated zinc planchet due to rising copper costs. Therefore, the 1974 Lincoln cent represents one of the last full copper issues before this transition and is often of interest to collectors who focus on pre-1980 cents. The reverse of the 1974 cent features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that replaced the earlier wheat ears motif beginning in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This updated reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, offers a modern tribute to the president by showcasing the neoclassical architecture of the monument built in his honor. A small image of the seated Lincoln statue is visible within the memorial. When viewed under magnification, a detail that reflects the craftsmanship and symbolism embedded in the coin's design. The reverse also includes inscriptions identifying the country and denomination, making it both a functional and symbolic representation of American heritage. The red shade condition mentioned for this coin typically refers to the original coppery red luster that coins exhibit shortly after being minted. Over time, exposure to air and handling can cause copper coins to darken and develop brown or deep reddish tones. A red shaded coin indicates that it has retained some of its original mint brilliance, which is a desirable trait among collectors. Although this coin may have seen circulation, the fact that it still shows a red tone suggests that it has not been overly worn or tarnished. This preserved coloring enhances its visual appeal and possibly its collectible value depending on the level of shine and lack of surface blemishes. Coins with a red appearance are generally more sought after by numismatists than those that have turned fully brown or show signs of corrosion. The red tone can often be an indicator of limited circulation or careful storage, and it suggests that the coin has not been exposed to excessive moisture or contaminants. For a circulated coin from 1974 to still exhibit this tone is somewhat uncommon, especially since such coins typically pass through many hands over several decades. It speaks to the resilience of the coin and perhaps even to a level of attention given by a previous owner who kept it out of harsh environmental conditions. From a historical standpoint, The year 1970 for itself holds some interest. It was a time of significant political and economic shifts in the United States. Public trust in government institutions was being tested in the wake of the Watergate scandal and other national developments. While these factors do not directly affect the design or value of the coin, they do contribute to the broader context in which it was produced and used. Every coin from a given year serves as a small artifact that connects to the events, technologies, and everyday lives of the people who used it. In terms of mintage, the 1970 for D Lincoln cent had a very high production number, with over 4 billion coins struck at the Denver Mint. This means that while the coin is not rare in a general sense, specific conditions and appearances can set individual pieces apart. A red-shaded 1970 for D coin with minimal marks or scratches can stand out among others and attract the attention of collectors interested in condition and eye appeal. Even though such a coin may not carry a high monetary value, especially if it has been circulated, its preservation and aesthetic can make it a worthwhile addition to a broader Lincoln cent collection. Next up we have the 1970 D Washington $quarter coin stands as a lasting example of American numismatic design and practical utility. Minted in Denver in the year 1970, this coin continues the long-running Washington quarter series, which was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States. The D-Mint mark found on this coin identifies it as having been produced at the Denver Mint, one of the most active and important minting facilities in the country. Like many coins that have passed through decades of circulation, this particular piece is described as being in circulated condition. This means that it has been used for regular transactions over the years and likely shows visible signs of wear, including faded details and softened edges. Despite this, the 1970 D Washington quarter remains a valuable artifact of its time and carries the essence of American daily life from that period. On the obverse of the coin is the iconic portrait of George Washington, a symbol of leadership and national identity. The image shows him in profile facing left with a calm and steady expression. This design was originally created by John Flanagan and has been used on the quarter for many decades. Above Washington's head is the word that represents the guiding ideal of the nation, and to the left is the phrase that has been featured on American currency for generations. Below the portrait appears the year of minting, 1970, and to the right, near the rim of the coin, is the small D mint mark denoting Denver as the place of origin. On a circulated coin, these features may appear somewhat worn, but are generally still visible. The smoothness of the high points or any flattening of Washington's hair and facial details are typical results of years of use. The reverse of the coin features an eagle with wings spread wide, perched atop a bundle of arrows, and encircled by olive branches. This design symbolizes strength and readiness for defense, as well as the desire for peace. It has remained a powerful image throughout the life of the Washington quarter series. At the top of the reverse side is the name of the country, and at the bottom is the coin's denomination. On a coin that has circulated for over 50 years, the fine lines in the feathers and other small elements of the design may have become less distinct. However, the overall composition still reflects the bold and confident style of mid-20th century American coinage. The 1970 D quarter was struck in a copper nickel-clad composition, a standard material for quarters beginning in 1965. This clad construction consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy. This formula was introduced to replace the earlier silver content, which had become too expensive due to rising metal prices. While the copper-nickel composition is durable and resists wear better than silver in many cases, it is not immune to the effects of time. Coins from this period, especially those that have been circulated, may show darkening or surface dullness due to oxidation and exposure to various environmental conditions over the years. From a historical perspective, the Year 1970 represents a significant time in American culture and global affairs. It was a period of transition as the country moved through political shifts, social change, and ongoing involvement in international conflicts. Coins like the 1970 D-quarter served not only as tools of commerce, but also as silent witnesses to the events and daily experiences of Americans during this era. Whether used to purchase groceries, ride public transportation, or operate vending machines, this coin participated in countless small moments that together form the tapestry of everyday life. Collectors often seek Washington quarters from different years and mint locations to build comprehensive sets. While the 1970 D-quarter is not considered a rare issue, it holds importance as part of the larger series and as a representative of the early clad era. Its presence in a collection offers both continuity and context, bridging the earlier silver coins with the more modern issues. For those who appreciate the design history and evolution of American coinage, the 1970 D-quarter offers a clear look at the enduring appeal of the Washington motif. Coins in circulated condition may not carry high monetary value in the marketplace, especially if they are common issues like this one. However, they still offer educational and sentimental value. They demonstrate how designs hold up under the wear and tear of decades, how the minting process has improved or changed over time, and how materials respond to everyday use. A circulated 1970 D-quarter shows what happens when art and commerce intersect for over 50 years. It is a physical example of how the past continues to live in objects that remain in use. This coin may also appeal to those who collect items that reflect American history not because they are perfect, but because they are real. Coins like this are appreciated for their authenticity and the journey they have taken. Each nick, scratch, or worn spot can spark curiosity about where the coin has been and who might have held it. Has it traveled across states or even countries? Was it once carried in a soldier's pocket, handed to a child as allowance, or used to pay for something small but important? Each coin has the potential to carry such stories, even if they are unknown. The Washington quarter itself represents continuity and national pride. Its long service in American pockets and purses speaks to its practical design and the respect it commands. Though later designs would eventually refresh the quarter's look, especially with the State Quarters series beginning in 1999, the traditional eagle reverse remained a fixture for many decades. The 1970 D-quarter is part of this long tradition and stands as a moment frozen in metal from a time of change and complexity in American life. The 1981 Lincoln 1-cent coin is a widely circulated and historically significant piece of American currency. As part of the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909, this coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the image of Lincoln has endured for over a century and remains one of the most iconic representations in United States coinage. The obverse design also includes the date of minting and the national motto. The 1981 version of this coin marks one of the final years before a major change in the composition of the cent took place in 1980 to when the United States Mint transitioned from a primarily copper coin to a primarily zinc-based one due to the rising cost of copper. The 1981 Lincoln cent was minted in large numbers at 3 United States Mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Denver and San Francisco carry a small identifying letter near the date to indicate their origin, while those from Philadelphia do not. Regardless of the mint mark, these coins were produced in sufficient quantities to support the needs of commerce and to replace older worn coins that were removed from circulation. The presence of scratches on this particular coin suggests it has seen active use over the years. Scratches on circulated coins are common, especially on copper coins, which are softer than many other metals. These marks are a normal part of a coin's history and often tell a story of its journey through decades of handling and everyday transactions. In terms of design, the reverse of the 1981 Lincoln cent still featured the Lincoln Memorial design. Introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln Memorial is detailed and includes a tiny image of the statue of Lincoln as it appears in the actual monument in Washington, D.C. This design replaced the original wheat ears reverse used from 1909 to 1958. The memorial design was the standard for decades until the coin was redesigned again in 2009. The reverse also includes the words signifying the country and denomination along with the national motto placed prominently above the memorial. This design encapsulates both artistic intention and patriotic symbolism, making the coin an enduring representation of national identity. By 1981, the Lincoln cent had been a fixture in American wallets, purses, and cash registers for over 70 years. Its small denomination made it essential for everyday transactions, especially at a time when cash was used far more frequently than it is today. The coin was used for small purchases, paying exact change, and was often found in change jars and vending machines. Its wide circulation means that coins from this year are still relatively easy to find, though the presence of scratches and signs of wear like on this particular coin can vary greatly depending on how it was handled and stored. Over the years, this coin's copper composition makes it somewhat special when compared to more recent cents. In 1981, the cent was still composed primarily of copper with a small amount of zinc. The total weight of these coins was around 3.11 grams. This changed in mid-1982 when the composition shifted to a copper-plated zinc planchet, which was both lighter and less costly to produce. As a result, coins from 1981 are often viewed with a bit more historical value, especially among collectors who are interested in coins with a higher copper content. Some people even collect these older copper cents in bulk for their metal value. Although melting them down for scrap is currently prohibited by law, while the scratches present on this coin do affect its visual appearance, they do not significantly reduce its historical or educational value. In fact, such wear can serve as a reminder of the coin's long life in circulation and the many people who may have handled it. From cashiers and customers to children collecting spare change and machines dispensing it as part of transactions, the coin has likely been part of countless interactions. This kind of everyday use gives coins like the 1981 cent a living quality, making them much more than simple objects of monetary value. Each scratch and mark can be seen as a small chapter in the story of its existence. From a collector's standpoint, this coin would be classified as circulated, and with visible scratches, its value would primarily be sentimental or historical rather than monetary. However, for those building a complete year set of Lincoln cents or studying the changes in minting techniques and materials over time, this coin still holds value as part of a broader collection. It serves as a useful example of pre-1980 minting and reflects the design choices and minting standards of the era. Coins like this are often used in educational settings to teach about U.S. history, economics, and the physical science of metallurgy. Next up, we have the 1983 Washington $quarter coin is a notable piece of American currency that reflects the practicality and endurance of the nation's coinage system. Minted in Denver in the year 1983, this quarter is part of the long-standing series that began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The quarter has served not only as a standard unit of commerce, but also as a reflection of the cultural and historical values of the United States. The demint mark on this coin identifies it as having been produced at the Denver Mint, a major facility responsible for supplying coins for everyday transactions across the country. The condition of this particular coin is described as circulated with some rust, which suggests that it has been in public use for decades and has encountered the elements in various forms. Its surface wear and oxidation are physical signs of a long journey through countless hands and transactions. The obverse side of the 1983 quarter features the familiar, dignified profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States. This design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and it has become one of the most enduring portraits in American numismatics. Washington is shown facing left with his hair tied back in a classical style that evokes the imagery of Roman leaders. Above his head is the word that represents the ideals of freedom and democracy in the United States. Below the portrait appears the year of mintage, 1983, and to the right is the D mint mark indicating the coin's origin at the Denver Mint. Coins that have been in circulation for many years, such as this one, often show signs of wear like the softening of details around Washington's facial features and hairline. Rust, a result of exposure to moisture and air, may appear as discoloration or pitting on the surface. The reverse of the quarter features the majestic image of a bald eagle, with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing military readiness and national strength. Below the eagle are olive branches representing peace. The reverse design was used for decades and is iconic in American coinage. The inscriptions on this side include the name of the nation and the coin's denomination, and is circulated in rust-affected condition. The reverse may have areas where the details are dulled or partially obscured, especially in the finer elements like feather lines or the tips of the olive branches. However, even with signs of aging, the design remains recognizable and continues to symbolize the American spirit. The material composition of the 1980 3D Washington quarter is copper-nickel clad, which consists of a copper core bonded between two layers of copper-nickel alloy. This durable metal combination was introduced in the mid-1960s to replace silver, which had become too costly for general circulation coins. While this clad material holds up well under typical use, it is not immune to environmental factors. Coins that have been exposed to damp conditions or chemical residues may develop rust-like discolorations or surface imperfections. Such marks are common on older coins and do not necessarily reduce the historical or collectible value unless they are extreme. Historically, the early 1980s was a time of economic fluctuation and changing consumer behavior in the United States. Coins minted during this era, including the 1980 3D quarter, witnessed a period of transition in both American culture and commerce. This quarter likely passed through countless transactions in supermarkets, gas stations, vending machines, and local shops. Each time it changed hands, it played a small but vital role in the daily economic life of ordinary citizens. That sense of shared history and usage gives circulated coins like this one a certain nostalgic charm and significance beyond their face value. Unlike some earlier years where mint sets were produced in large numbers, no official United States mint sets were issued in 1982 or 1983. As a result, uncirculated examples of the 1980 3D quarter can be harder to find, and many available coins from that year show wear from circulation. This absence of mint sets adds a degree of interest for collectors who seek high-quality examples. Even though a circulated coin may not reach the same level of demand as an uncirculated one, it still has a place in the broader narrative of American coinage, especially for those building complete year and mint mark collections. The visible wear and rust on a coin like this one tell a story of resilience and widespread use. Unlike pristine-proof coins kept in protective cases, circulated coins have been a living part of the economy. They have traveled in pockets and purses, passed from hand to hand, and contributed to everyday purchases for decades. This real-world exposure provides authenticity and depth to the coin's identity. For many enthusiasts, such coins are valuable not because of rarity, but because of their tangible connection to people and events in. Next up we have the 1971 Lincoln 1-cent coin is a widely recognized and historically relevant piece of United States currency. As a continuation of the long-standing Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909, this coin features the enduring portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front side. The obverse design created by Victor David Brenner has become one of the most iconic and longest-running images in American coinage. Lincoln's image on this coin represents strength, integrity, and leadership. making it a fitting tribute to one of the nation's most respected presidents. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto, while the date is positioned to the right of the portrait and the word indicating national identity appears to the left. This specific coin was struck during a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of cents annually to meet the demands of an increasingly cash-driven economy. By 1971, the Lincoln cent was composed primarily of copper with a small percentage of zinc. This copper-based composition remained in use until 1980, when a more cost-effective copper-plated zinc version was introduced due to the rising cost of raw copper. The 1971 coin therefore retains the heavier feel and reddish-brown tone associated with the earlier copper cents. Over time, these coins often develop a darker tone as the metal oxidizes, especially when exposed to moisture, air, and the oils from human hands. As this coin is described as circulated, it has clearly been used extensively in daily commerce. Circulation wear is very common for coins of this age and is reflected in surface marks, flattened details, and a general loss of luster. However, such signs of wear also tell a story about the life of the coin and its place in everyday American economic activity. The reverse side of the 1971 Lincoln cent features the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. The detail in this design includes visible columns and even a small representation of the seated Lincoln statue within the memorial. This reverse was created by Frank Gasparo and replaced the wheat ears design that had been used from 1909 to 1958. The choice of the Lincoln Memorial was not only symbolic of the enduring legacy of Lincoln, but also a reflection of the nation's appreciation for monumental architecture and historical symbolism. The reverse also includes the denomination and the country's name, reinforcing the identity and value of the coin. Despite wear from circulation, these elements typically remain recognizable even when details have been somewhat smoothed by years of handling. This particular coin was minted in large numbers by the United States Mint. In 1971, cents were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. Philadelphia minted coins carry no mint mark, while those from Denver display a small letter near the date. Coins without a mint mark like this one are from Philadelphia. The massive output from the mints during this period was meant to ensure a steady supply of coinage across the country, and the 1971 issue is no exception. With billions of these coins released into circulation, they became a common sight in pockets, purses, cash registers, and change jars across the nation. Despite their abundance, coins from this year continue to attract attention from collectors, particularly those interested in building complete sets of Lincoln cents. The circulated condition of this coin means it has seen frequent use in everyday transactions over the decades. The wear on the surface is typical of coins that have passed through countless hands and been used in all kinds of purchases. From buying candy and newspapers to being counted out in spare change at grocery stores and gas stations, the 1971 Lincoln cent has likely played its small part in the economic fabric of the country. These experiences are often reflected in the coin's physical condition, such as a duller surface, occasional scratches, and slight flattening of fine design features. Nonetheless, it retains its identity and continues to function as a unit of currency, even if its face value is modest. Although the coin is no longer shiny and may lack the sharpness of an uncirculated example, it still carries with it a historical and educational value. It serves as a tangible link to the early 1970s, a period marked by social and economic changes in the United States. Collectors, educators, and numismatists often use such coins to teach about the history of American currency, the changes in minting technology, and even broader economic patterns. For example, examining coins over the years can reveal trends in inflation, material costs, and design preferences. The 1971 cent, with its copper composition, is particularly interesting when viewed in the context of the coming shift to zinc plating. Next up we have the 1980 Washington $quarter coin, is part of the long-running series of United States quarters featuring the profile of George Washington on the obverse. Minted at the Denver Mint in the year 1982, this coin stands as a representation of American currency during a transitional era. The demon mark located on the right side of the coin beneath the portrait of Washington identifies it as a product of the Denver Mint. The coin's overall condition is described as good, meaning that while it shows signs of typical circulation, its main features and design elements remain clear and recognizable. This state of preservation makes it a practical example of everyday coinage from the early 1980s and allows it to continue its function both as legal tender and as a collectible artifact for those interested in numismatics. The obverse side of the coin features a left-facing bust of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The portrait was originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan and has appeared on the quarter since 1932. Above the portrait appears the name of the country, while below the image of Washington is the year of mintage. The design captures a classical and respectful rendering of Washington with hair tied back in a queue and detailed facial features that reflect the seriousness and leadership he represented. In a coin that has been graded in good condition, the details in Washington's face and hair, as well as the lettering around the edge, are still present and sharp enough to be appreciated despite having been in use for decades. On the reverse side, the design depicts a heraldic eagle with outspread wings, perched atop a bundle of arrows, which symbolize military preparedness. Below the arrows lie two olive branches representing peace. This image of the eagle was used on quarters from 1932 until 1998 and is one of the most enduring symbols in American coinage. It reflects the nation's values of strength and peace in equal measure. The reverse also includes inscriptions indicating the country of origin and the coin's value. In coins of good condition, the eagle's feathers and branch details are still distinguishable even if they may show minor signs of wear. The overall impression of the design remains intact, and the symbolic imagery continues to convey its intended message. The 1982 quarter is composed of a copper-nickel clad, which consists of a pure copper core bonded between two layers of copper-nickel alloy. This composition was introduced in the mid-1960s when silver was phased out of regular coinage due to rising costs. The clad composition was chosen for its durability, cost efficiency, and resistance to corrosion. In a good condition coin from 1982, the outer layers retain much of their original brightness and metallic luster, though natural aging from circulation may result in some mellowing of the surface shine. The coin is expected to show even wear across its surfaces without significant damage or distortion, making it both functional and collectible for those interested in common circulation coins of the 20th century. One particularly interesting fact about the 1982 Washington quarters is that the United States Mint did not produce official mint sets for that year. This decision has had a lasting impact on the availability of uncirculated examples of 1982 quarters in the collector market. Because no mint sets were issued, most of the coins from that year entered general circulation. As a result, finding well-preserved examples in higher grades can be more challenging than in other years. For collectors, this has added a degree of interest in 1982 quarters regardless of their relative face value. A coin in good condition from this year becomes an important piece for those trying to complete a full set or for those who appreciate the historical nuances of U.S. coin production. The economic context of the early 1980s also contributes to the relevance of the 1982 quarter. During this time, the United States was dealing with economic uncertainty, inflation, and shifts in monetary policy. Quarters minted and circulated during this era were part of everyday commerce in a country that was rapidly modernizing while still adjusting to financial challenges from the previous decade. Coins such as this one were used in gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines, and countless other places. Their role in the daily lives of Americans gives them a form of historical authenticity and practical legacy. Next up we have The 1990 to D Lincoln 1-cent coin is part of the widely circulated and historically significant Lincoln Memorial Cent series. This particular coin was minted in Denver, as indicated by the small d located below the year on the obverse side. The obverse of the coin features the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design, created by Victor David Brenner, has appeared on the penny since 1909, marking the first time a real historical figure was used on regular American coinage. The image of Lincoln is a familiar and enduring one, symbolizing leadership, honesty, and unity, and remains one of the most recognized depictions in American currency history. The 1990 to D Lincoln cent continues the legacy of the Lincoln Memorial design, which was introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The reverse of the coin shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a neoclassical monument that honors the president and serves as a national symbol. This reverse design was created by Frank Gasparo and includes fine architectural details that capture the grandeur of the memorial. Although small, the image includes visible pillars and even a representation of the statue of Lincoln when viewed under magnification. This design was used from 1959 until 2008 and became a standard for several decades of American coinage. In 1990 to the United States Mint produced a large number of Lincoln cents, including the D Mint Mark coins from the Denver facility. This year was not especially rare in terms of overall mintage. Billions of these coins were produced and distributed into circulation as the penny continued to be a central part of everyday commerce. The 1990 to D penny is made primarily from a composition of 97.5% zinc and 0.5% copper in the form of a thin copper plating over a zinc core. This change in composition had been in effect since 1982, when the mint altered the structure of the penny to reduce the cost of materials. The older cents had been made almost entirely from copper, but the rising cost of copper led to this more cost-effective solution. The coin in question is described as being in used condition, which typically means that it has been in circulation and shows visible signs of wear and handling. Such coins often have smoothing along the high points of the design, such as Lincoln's hair facial features and jacket lines. The fields or flat areas of the coin might also show scratches, nicks, or light abrasions resulting from contact with other coins or surfaces during circulation. The lettering might remain readable, but could lack the sharpness seen in uncirculated or lightly handled coins. Despite this, where the coin still holds value as a piece of monetary and cultural history. While the 1990 to D Lincoln cent is common in terms of quantity, its individual appeal can come from several angles, including historical interest, condition, personal connection, or numismatic curiosity. Some collectors may focus on assembling a complete set of Lincoln Memorial cents, which includes obtaining examples from each year and each mint. Others may seek out coins with interesting anomalies, such as die cracks, double dies, or variations in the design. Notably, there is a known variety from 1990 to called the close AM variety, where the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse is closer than usual. These varieties are rare and can significantly increase a coin's value, but such features must be confirmed by close inspection or professional grading. Even though this particular coin is used and may not hold premium value in the numismatic market, its role in everyday transactions over the years makes it an interesting object. It has likely passed through many hands, served many small purchases, and participated in countless moments of exchange. Each used coin has a kind of story and presence shaped by its journey through time. Coins like the 1990 to D penny offer a tangible connection to the recent past, when physical money was still a dominant part of commerce and daily life. The presence of the D Mint mark links the coin to the Denver Mint, one of the United States Mint's most productive facilities. The Denver Mint has been issuing coins since the early 20th century and is known for its high output and modern production standards. Coins from Denver are generally well struck and consistent, although they may still vary in quality due to die, wear, or planchette flaws. Even in use condition, a Dender Mint coin from 1990 will typically retain most of its design elements unless exposed to extreme environments or mishandling. In educational context, coins such as this can help illustrate economic and design history, civic symbolism, and even technological shifts. The change in the penny's composition during the 1980s and its continued use in the 1990s show how public policy and economic necessity can influence even the smallest units of money. Students and collectors alike can learn from such coins about inflation, cost management, and public perception of currency. They also offer insight into the choices made by artists and government institutions in creating images meant to represent national ideals and identity. In terms of future relevance, the 1990 D penny is likely to remain common in circulation, although the penny itself has been subject to debate regarding its usefulness. Some have argued that the cost to produce the coin exceeds its value, and discussions have occurred about potentially discontinuing the denomination. However, as long as the penny remains in use, coins like the 1990 D will continue to play their role. In numismatic circles, even common coins are worth studying for their variants, minting details, and roles in American history. Next up, we have the 1985 Washington $quarter coin is part of a long-standing series of United States coinage that features the iconic image of George Washington, the first president of the United States. This particular quarter was minted in Philadelphia, as denoted by the P mint mark found on the obverse of the coin. The Philadelphia Mint has played a central role in the production of American currency since the founding of the nation, and coins bearing its mint mark are widespread and significant. The 1985 Washington quarter remains an enduring symbol of American tradition, featuring a classic design that continues to be recognized and appreciated by collectors and members of the public alike. In circulated condition, this coin has passed through the hands of many people and has been part of everyday transactions across the country, reflecting its role in both commerce and history. On the front of the coin is a detailed portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan and first introduced in 1930 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. The profile of Washington faces left, capturing his dignified appearance with clearly defined hair, facial structure, and expression. The lettering that surrounds the portrait includes the name of the country and the denomination, while the year of minting is placed below the bust. The P mint mark is also located on this side of the coin. Even in circulated condition, the major features of the design are still visible, though there may be signs of wear. This can include softening of fine details in the hair and face, as well as minor fading in the raised lettering. Despite these signs of age, the historical and artistic integrity of the coin remains intact and continues to hold interest for collectors and those who admire traditional American numismatic design. The reverse side of the coin features the heraldic eagle design that had been used for decades prior to the state quarters program, which began in 1999. This depiction includes an eagle with wings spread open in a proud and alert posture. The eagle is clutching a bundle of arrows, which symbolize readiness and defense, while an olive branch beneath the arrows represents a desire for peace. Above the eagle's head is the motto that reinforces the country's guiding principle. This imagery is central to the symbolic language of American currency and reflects the values and ideals held by the nation. In circulated condition, some wear is typically noticeable on the eagle's feathers and in the finer details of the arrows and branch, yet the overall composition remains clear and recognizable. The craftsmanship and design choices continue to resonate, and the coin retains its identity and purpose as both money and a historical artifact. The 1985 P quarter is composed of a copper core clad in a layer of copper-nickel alloy. This composition had been the standard since the mid-1960s, when silver was removed from everyday coinage due to its increasing value and the rising cost of minting. The copper-nickel-clad quarter was selected for its resilience and cost-effectiveness, and it performs well in circulation over long periods of time. A coin from 1985 that has seen normal use might show typical signs, such as slight discoloration along the rim, softening of raised surfaces, and small contact marks from other coins. However, such coins still retain their fundamental structural integrity and serve as a testament to the durability of American currency materials and the effectiveness of the minting process. Economically and culturally, the 1985 quarter represents a period in American life marked by growth, innovation, and transformation. The mid-1980s were a time of rapid technological advancement and shifting global dynamics. Coins minted in this era carry with them the unspoken history of the nation's evolving identity. These quarters were used in public transportation systems, payphones, laundromats, and vending machines. They were given as change in everyday transactions and passed through generations of citizens. This particular coin would have been part of countless financial exchanges and contributed silently to the daily lives of millions. In that sense, it is more than a metallic object. It is a small but meaningful part of the fabric of American life during that period. For collectors, the 1985 P. Washington quarter in circulated condition holds value not in rarity or high-grade status, but in historical and practical significance. It is often pursued by those seeking to build a full collection of Washington quarters by date and mint mark. Because the Philadelphia Mint produced a large number of quarters in 1985, they are not considered scarce. However, finding a coin that is well balanced in condition, with clear lettering and a consistent surface despite circulation, can be rewarding. It is an excellent candidate for educational collections, historical displays, or for collectors beginning to explore the hobby. In addition, it provides a good reference point for comparing coins across different years and minting locations. Next up we have the 1980 to Lincoln 1-cent coin holds a special place in the history of American coinage due to the significant changes that occurred during that year. This coin features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front side, a design originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The obverse design had become iconic by 1982, and it continued to represent ideals such as leadership, integrity, and unity. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, with the date appearing on the right side and the word representing the nation's name on the left. These elements remain consistent with earlier coins, reinforcing the continuity of the design that had been in use for decades. What makes the 1980 to Lincoln cent particularly interesting to collectors and historians is that it marked a major transition in the composition of the coin. Prior to 1982, the penny was primarily made of copper. However, due to rising metal costs, the United States Mint decided to change the composition to a copper-plated zinc planchet. As a result, 1980 cents were produced in both copper and copper-plated zinc versions. The change was introduced partway through the year, so both metal types were minted with the same date. Because of this, 1980 cents can vary in weight and material depending on when and where they were minted. Some of them are slightly heavier due to being made of nearly solid copper, while others are lighter because they have a zinc core with a thin outer layer of copper. The reverse of the 1980 to Lincoln cent features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Created by Frank Gasparo, the memorial design includes columns and the seated statue of Lincoln visible in the center. This reverse replaced the earlier wheat ears design used from 1909 to 1958. The use of the Lincoln Memorial as a motif emphasized the nation's respect for one of its greatest leaders and reflected the historical and architectural heritage of the United States. The words indicating the denomination and national identity are clearly inscribed on the reverse side. Despite the design being simple and familiar, it carries deep symbolic significance that has resonated with generations of Americans. The coin being described is in good condition, which suggests that although it has been circulated, it retains a fair amount of detail and clarity in its design. Good condition generally means that the features on both the obverse and reverse are still identifiable, even if there is some minor wear or dulling from handling over time. The lettering and date should still be readable, and Lincoln's profile should remain clear. While it may lack the luster of a freshly minted coin, its overall appearance is respectable and well preserved for a coin that has been in use for several decades. During 1982, Lincoln cents were produced at multiple mint locations, including Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from the Denver mint bear a small letter next to the date, while those from Philadelphia do not include any mint mark. Both mints produce large quantities of pennies that year, reflecting the high demand for small denomination currency. In everyday transactions, given the two different compositions and multiple minting sites, there are actually several varieties of the 1980 to Lincoln cent, making it a fascinating subject for coin collectors and researchers alike. Some collectors even focus on gathering all the variations from that year, including large date and small date versions in both copper and zinc. The historical context of this coin adds to its interest. The early 1980s were a time of economic fluctuation, with inflation and rising metal prices affecting the cost of minting coins. The shift from copper to zinc was a practical solution to help reduce production expenses. This change marked a turning point in how the United States Mint managed resources and adapted to economic conditions. Therefore, the 1980 to Lincoln cent serves not only as a unit of currency, but also as a symbol of economic adaptation and practical decision-making in government operations. For casual collectors and those just beginning to explore the hobby of numismatics, the 1980 to cent offers a great opportunity to learn about coin varieties and minting practices. Because these coins are still relatively easy to find and inexpensive, they are ideal for hands-on study and collection building. Comparing the weight and appearance of copper versus zinc coins from the same year helps collectors understand the effects of different materials on durability and tone. Copper coins tend to age with a deeper reddish-brown hue, while zinc cents may develop a lighter tone or show signs of corrosion more quickly if